G'day YouTube, Rob again, bringing you another brand new video. Today I'm doing another DVD Blu-ray update for you. I've got a huge stack of stuff to show you, so I thought I'd better make, I've sort of watched most of it, so I thought I'd better show it. So I'm going to put it on my shelf and move on to the rest of my unwatched pile, which is rather large as well, because I keep buying more all the time and I've still got more coming. Anyway, so we'll get into it because it's going to be a fairly large update, I reckon. Alright, so we'll get into it. I've got a mixture of DVDs and Blu-rays and a few different things. Okay, so the first movie, this is a film that I reckon Jacob, Movie Humania, another great YouTuber on here. I reckon he's probably going to like this movie. I'm not too sure if he's seen it before or not. I did sort of hear him say once that he's a big fan of the Carry On films, which are sort of like cheesy, sort of fun movies. Sort of comedies from sort of the 60s and 70s, basically sort of starring the same sort of actors, and I used to watch it. I've seen quite a few of those when I was a lot younger, and really did enjoy them. So I've got one here called Carry On Screaming, which is kind of a bit of a sort of a horror spoof, I think, of some of the sort of the Hammer sort of movies that were sort of around at the time. Stars Harry H. Corbett. He's probably most famous from the TV show Steptoe and Son, which is another great sort of TV show that I used to watch when I was a lot younger, and do quite enjoy. So they've got Kenneth Williams, also Joan Sims, and a few other people. This is actually a really fun movie. I actually did quite enjoy this one. A bit cheesy and a bit silly, but definitely had some great sort of funny dialogue and very sort of witty dialogue to it, which I thought was really good. And very sort of, I think these days I know some dialogue's just not, I don't know, it's not quite as good as it used to be. Yeah, really good movie. Sort of a bit of a Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll type sort of different storylines to it, sort of all sort of mixed up. And you got Kenneth Williams' character, and he's kind of like the Frankenstein sort of character, and he's sort of been going out and sort of stealing young women and turn them into sort of mannequins, and then sort of selling them to some of the local sort of dress shops, which is a really silly idea, I guess. Then you got Harry H. Corbett, sort of playing, he's like a police detective, and he sort of was on the case to sort of find out where all these sort of missing younger women are going to. Yeah, real sort of fun movie, and very funny. So let's Carry On Screaming. Great sort of film. Next film, the Blu-ray. The film I did sort of, I'm pretty sure I was watching some person review it sort of a few months ago, and I sort of saw this film cheap, and so I thought, I might give it a watch, and because they'd sort of recommended it to me, and I sort of had the idea that I probably had sort of seen it before, and I have sort of watched it, and I have sort of seen it a long time ago, but I'd sort of forgotten all about it. It's actually got some pretty big stars in it as well. When they were sort of younger. Film sort of was made, it was 1983. It came out. So you got like a young Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, who obviously the kid from the Karate Kid movies. He's in it. Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Diane Lane, Amelia Estevez, Tom Cruise. Film's called The Outsiders. For 1983, directed by Ford Francis Coppola. Very sort of like a coming of age type story. It's sort of just about these sort of, I think it was sort of set in the 1960s, 1964 or something, 1966. Just sort of about sort of the two gangs. So had like the Greasers gang, and then you also had the Sox. I think it was the Sox. They're the Sox were sort of the rich sort of kids, and whereas the Greasers were sort of the poor sort of kids of the neighbourhood type thing, and they're sort of always fighting. And essentially sort of about essentially the main event sort of you sort of have these sort of two rival gangs, and one night there's sort of I think it's like 4 of the Sox were sort of following these sort of two sort of younger members of the Greasers. They sort of attack them and try to drown one of the boys, and the other boy sort of gets out a knife and sort of kills one of the Sox, and this, sort of freaks them out, and they sort of go on the run for a week or two to sort of wait till everything cools down before they can sort of come back, type thing. And it's yeah. But yeah, I mean, I sort of watch it, and I don't know. To be honest, yeah, I thought it was all right. I just didn't necessarily. It wasn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be, and didn't sort of grab me as much as I thought it was going to. I think it's probably one of those films. Maybe if I'd sort of grown up watching it, I probably would perhaps enjoy it a lot more. Because it can be a little bit sort of cheesy, and some of the sort of fight scenes I thought were a bit sort of amateurish in certain ways. I guess, I don't know. I guess in some ways it is, an older film, 1983 or whatever. So I guess I'm perhaps a bit used to sort of a bit more updated, choreographed sort of fight scenes, perhaps. But anyway, I mean, I thought I don't know, it wasn't too bad though. I thought some of the acting I thought was reasonably good. Some of it wasn't, so good. I mean, this is supposed to be like the complete novel. I think it's actually based on based on a book, and this is supposed to be like the extended cut of the movie, and so it's obviously a bit longer. And so I think also sort of, what I also read, they also changed the music to it as well, which I didn't think was actually a good idea, because in some ways sort of this new music didn't necessarily sort of seem to fit the film very well. And I have sort of read online that some people say that as well. They didn't like the music, this new sort of updated version with this sort of the change of music in it. And, so I don't know what if all the songs are different, or what exactly sort of happened there. But I mean, from what I understand, I think they changed pretty much the whole sort of soundtrack. I think from what I can understand. But yeah, which didn't seem to sort of fit the movie very well. I don't know. Not quite sure why. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't necessarily, I don't know. It didn't sort of blow me away as I thought it was going to. But yeah, that's The Outsiders. Another Blu-ray, another sort of classic film from 1954, I think it is. It's got Humphrey Bogart, Audrey Hepburn, William Holden. It's called Sabrina. So you've got Audrey Hepburn, and her father sort of works for this sort of rich family, and he sort of like looks after all the cars, and they've got, the family's very rich, and they've got sort of 10 cars or something. He sort of looks after all the cars and washes them and polishes them, and sort of takes the family for a drive, drives them wherever they want to go, kind of like a chauffeur type thing. And she's sort of been in love with one of the sons, William Holden. The other son's Humphrey Bogart. She's sort of been in love with William Holden, her entire life. Sort of watches him sort of because the family sort of throw these big sort of lavish sort of dinner parties, and so she's always sort of watching William Holden, with another girl type thing, and she sort of gets a bit jealous. But anyway, she eventually sort of grows up and sort of goes away for a year to Paris to learn to cook, sort of thing. She goes over there. When she sort of comes back a year later, she's a bit more older and a bit more mature, I guess, in some ways. And so William Holden doesn't realise that it's her type thing, because she's changed a lot over that year. And so he sort of falls in love with her, and doesn't sort of realise who she is. He eventually does, though, of course. And then you also got Humphrey Bogart, and sort of the two sons are supposed to sort of run the company, the family business together, sort of thing. But William Holden's more interested in girls, I think. He doesn't necessarily have any interest in the company type thing. Whereas, so Humphrey Bogart's sort of the one who has to sort of run the whole family, the whole business by himself. So he wants his brother to sort of marry off to this other woman. If they sort of get married, if William Holden gets married to this girl, then they'll sort of help merge this deal together and bring the sort of the two families together, and a big sort of contract, type thing. That sort of makes sense. That's essentially the movie. There's probably a bit more to that, I suppose, to the story, but I don't suppose I'll spoil it too much. But I mean, it wasn't too bad, I thought. I did sort of find perhaps the first half an hour perhaps a little bit boring. I was perhaps disappointed perhaps a little bit with the end to it as well. Not necessarily the greatest film I've ever seen, but it wasn't too bad, I thought, really. That's Sabrina. Okay. Next lot of films are actually was like a big sort of a store opened up recently, close to where I live, a big sort of chain store, and they had this big sort of bin of cheap DVDs. I think they were like $4.85 or something like that. It's real sort of real cheap DVDs, and so sort of clawing through it and picked out quite a few. There's actually some really good titles there. I might actually go back. I didn't sort of have much time when I was there the first time, so I might actually go back soon and have another dig deep, have a bit more of a look at it. Okay, so the first film is actually a film that has actually been sort of recommended to me by my friend Kevin, Dr. Hessline. He was sort of talking about this film not too long ago, and he was recommending it, and I sort of saw it in that bin, so I just pretty much just grabbed it straight away, and I thought, oh, I might give that a bit of a watch. The film's called Main Streets. I think it's from 1973, and it's one of sort of Martin Scorsese's sort of early films. Which you can sort of think, Kevin was saying that it's definitely, you can sort of see a lot of elements in this film that do sort of happen later. They're sort of used, later in some of Martin Scorsese's sort of later films, Goodfellas and et cetera, some of the other sort of gangster type movies. I should actually quite enjoy this one. It was actually really good. I just sort of loved the rawness to it, and being a sort of an early film, it sort of has a bit of a rawness to it, and it's a bit sort of rough around the edges, and but it's certainly got a lot of sort of great sort of I like some of the sort of scenes were shot, and nice sort of camera angles to it, and which I think actually were sort of have been sort of used later, Goodfellas and some of the other sort of films. Very much a sort of pretty sure Kevin said it was kind of like a rough draft, sort of element to it, which I can sort of agree with. It's actually sort of about Harvey Keitel's character. He's sort of like an up and coming sort of local mobster, and his girlfriend, her cousin, which is played by Robert De Niro. He's sort of a I think he's I don't know, I guess somebody supposed to be a little bit younger than Harvey Keitel, and it's a bit of a sort of a gambler, and he sort of owes a lot of money sort of around town to different sort of loan sharks, and a bit of I guess a bit of a screw up, maybe, I suppose is probably a way to describe him, I guess. But Harvey Keitel sort of tries to sort of look after him and sort of look out for him, and when we sort of whenever he sort of gets in trouble, he just thinks, oh, he's only a young kid. He needs to sit have a bit of time and a bit of guidance. Obviously, Robert De Niro sort of screws up a bit too much and gets into a bit of trouble a bit later on in the film. But yeah, I thought it was a really good film. As far as I really love sort of the rawness to it, and definitely great to sort of watch, and then perhaps watch one of Martin Scorsese's sort of later films, sort of see sort of the similarities to it. But definitely a good film, that one. Oh, whoops. Okay, next film. Next film is actually one that I actually really quite enjoy this one, actually. It's another sort of Audrey Hepburn movie. They actually won. I think it was nominated for, I think, like 8 Academy Awards, and I think it won a few, and but a really good movie. It's called the Nuns Story. I've always sort of been perhaps interested, I guess, in all sort of nuns and Buddhist monks, and even perhaps even perhaps related to people that go to prison for their entire life, type thing, and sort of about sort of people that sort of give up their lives to sort of dedicate themselves to religion, or in case of going to jail, being stuck in jail for your whole life, and that's pretty much your life. It's actually a really good movie. I think it's sort of based originally on a book about sort of a real sort of nun, just sort of about her sort of life, and sort of this young girl when she sort of decides to become a nun, and is into her vows and becomes a nun, and just sort of about her sort of struggle to try to stick with it, and but I mean, it's definitely it's obviously it's a movie, I suppose. I'm not necessarily sure how truthful it can be, but I did actually find it really interesting that I guess in some ways sort of learn a lot more about what nuns are like and what they have to do, and it's a very very sort of hard life and very sort of strict, and you've got to sort of a bit about the sort of the because they can't sort of once you sort of enter into being a nun, you've got to sort of kind of forget your past. You can't sort of talk about your past. You can't sort of mention it, or you can't sort of bring with you sort of I don't know, things from your past. You can't sort of have any possessions that remind you of your past type thing, because you're sort of giving up and giving yourself to God and being a bride of Christ. So you've got to sort of forget all about your previous life, and you've got to be very sort of selfless and give to others and give to God. And I mean, you've got to sort of talk about in the film about how there's a bit of the sort of the how it's a bit of a contradiction, because you've got to be got to try and be the perfect nun, and you can't sort of take pride in yourself, because that's deemed to be a bit sort of selfish type thing. So, but you're working very hard to be a nun and doing all the right things, and I guess in some way got to take, you can't have pride. You can't sort of take pleasure from doing these things, if that sort of makes sense. You can't have pride in what you do, even though you can be the best nun and be the perfect nun, as they talk about. They might do something right, but yet the correct thing, and do something for someone else, type thing. But yet you can't sort of have pride in that, because that's deemed to be a selfish thing. If that sort of makes sense, I probably don't explain that very well, but you can't. They've got to do all these very nice things, but yet they can't sort of gain enjoyment from that, because that's would seem to be pride, and you can't have pride if you're a nun. But yeah, definitely, I just thought I think it's like a fairly long film. I think it's 154 minutes or something. But yeah, really great film, and I just really love the sort of the final shots to it, and the way the sort of film sort of ends. The final sort of few last 20 seconds of the film type thing. But definitely a great film, that one. Definitely recommend that one. This one's actually a sort of a double feature. I think they're pretty much sort of both sort of French films, I think. I've only sort of watched one of the films so far. I think they're directed by the same person. Louis Malle, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not quite sure. I've watched Viva Marie, and the other one's the Thief of Paris, which I haven't sort of watched yet. But I have sort of watched the Viva Marie. 1965. I feel it might be a bit hard to explain. It's very much a sort of a different genre sort of film. It's got it's a bit of a sort of comedy, and it's also a bit of drama in there as well, and also a bit of musicals in there as well. It's all different genres, and I did actually quite enjoy it. Another sort of long film. The film sort of stars Brigitte Bardot, who I've got to say is an absolutely very attractive woman. Nice sort of blonde hair. And yeah, it's, I don't know, a bit hard to explain the storyline to it, but it sort of does jump around a little bit. The film sort of starts out with her being a little girl and her father, and kind of like I'm not quite sure why they were doing it, but they sort of used to go around and sort of blow up buildings and stuff like that. I guess the bit of sort of revolutionary type stuff, I guess, blowing up sort of buildings, and she'd sort of help her father do this, and then later on, I don't want to spoil too much, but he sort of ends up getting killed while they're sort of trying to blow up this sort of place, and but she sort of manages to escape, and she sort of finds a way onto like a circus type thing. She sort of joins this circus to sort of hide out, and meets this other Marie. So there's sort of two Maries, and they sort of these two women, they sort of join and become like a double act. They sort of invent like the striptease, and sort of put on sort of burlesque type shows, I guess, in some ways, and and then the film sort of goes on to sort of I think go into like Mexico, and the sort of it's sort of fight for this sort of the locals, and against this sort of tyrant that's sort of going around sort of killing people type thing. So they sort of join this cause, and get the revenge type thing. it's very hard to explain. It does sort of jump around, sort of thing. But yeah, I thought it was a really good film. Yeah, so I haven't sort of watched the other one yet, the Thief of Paris yet, but I'm looking forward to giving that a watch. So that's that. Okay, so that's sort of the last cheap DVDs that I got. Next sort of set is actually a sort of an eBay sort of bulk deal that I bought. Someone was sort of selling a big pile of movies in one bulk deal, and had a few really good titles in there, and I got it for a really cheap price. I managed to get it managed to sort of win, at a great price. I haven't sort of watched many of these yet, but there's some good titles here though. I got Hitchcock just on DVD. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I think I have sort of heard sort of mixed things on it, but I think mostly good. From what I know, so that's Hitchcock. I haven't watched it yet. Next one's called The Son of No Name, which I have absolutely no idea what it's about. It's got Channing Tatum, how do you say it? Channing Tatum, however you say his name. Tracy Morgan, Katie Holmes, Ray Lolita, Juliette Binoche. She's a very famous sort of French actress. French and sort of Hollywood. She does a lot of. She's French. I think she's made a lot of French movies, obviously, and then she's come over to Hollywood and made a lot of English-speaking ones as well, but she's very famous, though. And Al Pacino. I don't know much about this one. But yeah, so that's that. Also got Premium Rush with Jason Gordon-Levitt. I think I have sort of heard, mostly good things about this one, I think. I had sort of heard that it's actually, well, not necessarily a remake, but I think there was another film that was very sort of similar to it. And but anyway, so that's Premium Rush. Then we've got a Steelbook. This is actually a film I did sort of own before on DVD, but I think it mysteriously went missing from my collection. Same as my copy of Lilo and Stitch and my copy of Memento. I'm sure there's another film as well. They sort of just mysteriously vanished. Well, I'm pretty sure I know where they went to. I think someone nicked them. I know who nicked them too. Traffic. It's a film I have sort of watched once or twice before, I think, and I do remember it being quite a good film. Very sort of gritty. This is sort of Steelbook. It's not a bad little Steelbook actually. There's a bit of artwork in there, which is good. So that's Traffic. I can't remember too much about it though, but I do remember it being quite gritty and quite good. So that's that. Then we got a brand new copy of Sanctum, James Cameron. I had sort of heard this is not particularly a great film, but it's James Cameron, so I'm sure it can't be that bad. So I'll give that a watch. Then a film I do already own on many formats, on Blu-ray as well. This is my second Blu-ray copy of it. The 5-disc set of Blade Runner, which is undoubtedly a very a cult favourite. I should probably do a review of this movie one day, I reckon, because I wouldn't mind perhaps doing a video about it and sort of giving my thoughts on it. So I've got this. I've already got this one on Blu-ray already. I think mine's the thinner sort of box though. So I've got two copies of that now. So that's sort of the bulk deal that I bought. Then I bought another film which I do already own. Dora Story 3. Another Pixar sort of film. But these are very expensive, so this was very cheap, so I just sort of picked up another copy of it just simply because they're very expensive to buy, and I might use perhaps for a trade or something one day, I don't know. But yeah, great film anyway. Toy Story 3. Another Pixar film, got Brave, which sort of does get, not necessarily the greatest Pixar movie, but I actually thought it wasn't too bad. I did actually quite enjoy watching it at the cinema. So that's Brave. Okay, the next film is actually a film that I have sort of shown before, but I had sort of watched it when I sort of showed it. I did sort of watch it the other day, and I thought I might just quickly give my thoughts on it, because this is actually quite a popular movie, and a lot of people were talking about it and recommending it. It's Life of Pi, which I think came out, I'm pretty sure it was late last year. I think it's 2012. And a lot of people before just really absolutely praising it, and thought it was fantastic. I mean, I sort of watched it and yeah, I don't know. I didn't particularly think it was that great. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. It's got some great visuals though, which is a lot of people do, do talk about that. Yeah, great visuals and yeah, some fantastic, yeah, some great sort of camera work to it. Very beautiful. The storyline itself, it's yeah. I don't want to spoil too much of the storyline to it. I mean, it's one of those films where you're sort of watching it, and then you sort of come to the end, and the end sort of sort of changes everything. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's yeah. You sort of I think you've got to sort of pass. I think if I sort of watched it again, I perhaps would have a bit more of an appreciation of it. Because I did sort of find the movie when I was watching it rather sort of frustrating, and it didn't sort of make a whole lot of sense to me in some ways. But I think now that I sort of know what happens at the end, if I went back and rewatched the whole thing again, yes, I might take a bit more of appreciation of it. I think in some ways it's definitely a film I just don't think I quite understood, and but I have sort of gone online and read other people's thoughts of it, and other people sort of picked up on certain things and which I never sort of noticed, and now I sort of realise that sort of does make a bit more sense now that I know that. I think I just need to perhaps just give it another watch, and yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like it all that much. I did sort of find it rather frustrating, and not quite as good as I thought it was going to be. But anyway, so that's Life of Pi. Okay, next one's actually a TV series, which again, Kevin, Dr. Hasline was recommending, and I've heard a lot of other people recommend it too, and so it's an absolutely fantastic TV show, and I saw it's really cheap, so I just thought I better grab it. It's just the sort of first 2 seasons of Boardwalk Empire. I thought it was a great TV show. I haven't had a chance to sort of watch it yet, but I'm really looking forward to checking it out and seeing what all the fuss is about. Yeah, it's really cheap and on Blu-ray, and yeah, just great set. I'm really looking forward to watching it. Okay, another sort of box set. Now I got this. This is a really stupid reason why I bought this, to be honest. I did. It was rather cheap. That's sort of the one reason why I bought it. The other reason was, this is really stupid. This, I can't remember which website it was on, but they had this deal where, as we all know, recently there was a royal birth, a little baby boy, I think it was, being conceived or whatever to the royal family, which I'm sure everyone heard about. And apparently the baby was supposed to weigh, I think it was like 3 pounds and 45 ounces or something like that. So this website decided that they'd give off $3.45 on every, if you spend over $40, you type in this code and we'll give you $3.45 off, which is a really stupid sort of, I don't know, reason to give that money away, give you a discount just because it was a raw baby and that's how much it weighed, which is just really silly. So that's the other reason why I bought it, because I got a few dollars off. But anyway, so it's the Monsters, Universal Monsters box set, 8 movies on Blu-ray. I was sort of reasonably keen to sort of buy it when it first came out, but I sort of perhaps wanted to wait, perhaps just wait a bit longer and wait for the price to come down. I got this for a really cheap price, and then also with a discount as well. So I'm looking forward to giving these a bit of a watch, and I think I've sort of pretty sure I would have seen a few of them for Dracula and Frankenstein and the Mummy and the Wolfman, I think, probably. I've never sort of seen The Invisible Man though, which I think is supposed to be a really good one, I reckon. I think pretty sure a lot of people recommend that. So that's that. That's my box set. And then finally, I got a VHS. One of my subscribers, the Mayor, he's always having a go at me because I'm always only showing DVDs and Blu-rays. He's a big sort of VHS fan, and he's always having a go at me that I don't show any, or I don't sort of buy any. I do sort of buy them. I have sort of bought a couple recently over the last year or so, and I just haven't sort of shown them. I should probably do a whole video perhaps dedicated just to my VHS collection, if I can find it all. I think I sort of found, I found most of it. There's certain titles I can't find. I don't know where they, if my mother's got them or someone else's, I don't know. I can't sort of find them all. But anyway, I'll try and find them all and I'll do a big video one day. Anyway, but yeah, I've got this animated movie. I never sort of seen them before, but it's 1982, I think it is. And I'm sort of a fan of sort of 80s animation. So I thought I'd better. I think I got this for like $2. Oh no, I think I would have been probably 20 cents actually. Just in a sort of local sort of second-hand store. So looking forward to perhaps giving that a watch if I can get my VHS player to work. So I got a video. I do buy VHS occasionally, even though it's a bit of an old format. So that's that. I just got that, just showing that just for the moment. Yes, that's my update, my rather long update. I did sort of rush that a little bit, I think. I wanted to sort of show it off, and I do tend to ramble on a bit, so I tried to cut out some of that. So thanks for watching. Certainly if you've sort of seen any of these titles, certainly leave me a comment below, or thumbs up, or whatever you want to do. I've got, as I said before, I've got a huge sort of still to watch pile yet, and I'm still buying them all the time. Buying movies and stuff. I've got a few more coming. I'm sure I'll buy a few more. And never ending. So again, thanks for watching. And I'm sure I'll be back very soon with another video for you. So for now, bye.